Hey, welcome to Cow Free Kicks. On this channel I review leather-free sneakers only, and to be honest, I thought this was going to be one of the sneakers of the year, but it's possibly the most disappointing sneaker of the year, and that is the ASICS NEOCURVE. Welcome to the channel. If you've not seen one of my videos before, I always look into 5 different categories when I review a pair of sneakers, and then at the end of the video I will give these ASICS NEOCURVEs an overall rating out of 5 stars. If you do like what you see as you're going along, please do not forget to click the little thumbs up like button below on your device. And whilst you're down there, if you've not done so already, please do take time to subscribe to the channel. All of the support is greatly appreciated. So let's start this review off as we always do by checking out these recycled wonders on feet. This is a revolutionary pair of sneakers from ASICS, and that is because they are fully recycled from old discarded pairs of ASICS, faulty pairs, returned pairs, and also samples that they're not going to put into production. All the elements from those shoes, the laces, the upper, the midsole and the outsole, have been put into bins, broken down, recycled to make these ASICS NEOCURVEs. The NEOCURVE silhouette itself is an old silhouette from their archives that they've brought back to bring you this regenerated, recycled pair of sneakers. And I just think it is the future of sneakers. If all brands could get their waste and transfer it into a new shoe like this, it would be great. But unfortunately, like I said at the start of the video, I was so excited to get these in hand and on feet. But when I did get them in hand and on feet, my excitement for them dropped, because even though the concept is absolutely amazing, and I'm not knocking ASICS for trying this at all, but I think their execution has been incredibly flawed. Now there's a couple of colorways knocking around at the moment. This is my favorite of the two. Obviously the metallic look is really in at the moment, and I do really like the metallic hits you get from this synthetic leather-like detailing on the upper. All of that sits on top of recycled textile. You can see the darker gray and the lighter gray towards the toe box. The laces are fully recycled. The midsole is a recycled ASICS gel midsole in this light grey. You've then got the outsole with the grey hits and that lighter grey, continuing with the ASICS branding on the bottom. As you move towards the heel of the shoe, you've got more recycled elements to create this incredibly hardened heel cup and a little heel pull to help you get them on as well. Looks wise, I do think they look good, but the problems start with the comfort, and I'm going to talk about that now more in the comfort section, where I want to put these to the test on my back doorstep. So let's start with this. I honestly cannot bend these sneakers at all past that point. They're the most unflexible pair of shoes I've ever had on my feet, other than a pair of Air Force Ones. I really do not like Air Force Ones in terms of comfort. I think the midsole is too chunky, they're absolutely dead, there's no responsive bounce back or give or energy return, and unfortunately it's exactly the same in these NEOCURVEs. Look at the size of this midsole unit, the chunky gel unit that you get with these, but to the touch it's incredibly hard. And then you've got this really hardened outsole that comes with it as well, which has just made them incredibly unflexible under the feet, and there's absolutely zero cushioning on these. I don't know what's happened with this recycled gel unit, but underfoot they are absolutely dead. No responsive bounce back, no energy return, no bounce. They're so cloppy when you're walking around in them. They feel so heavy and sound so heavy. You could hear me coming from miles off if I'm wearing a pair of these. And then you look at the upper. The textile that they've been made out from is a little bit abrasive. I appreciate it's recycled, but it's not the nicest to the touch. And then you've got these incredibly chunky recycled laces, which are far too big for the lace loopholes. So when you put your feet in these, when you're trying to adjust the laces to do them up, you have to go lace by lace by lace, and it's a massive effort to try and get these tight enough. You can't just pull the laces from the top. You have to go individually all the way up, and it's just a bit of a chore having to do that every time you want to put these on. The rest of the shoe, in terms of the comfort you get from the upper, yeah, it's nicely padded around the heel. The tongue is nicely padded as well. It's nicely padded on the inside of the shoe. It does feel nice and sock-like on the upper, but in terms of underneath, it's just absolutely awful. And then fit-wise, they're perfect. They're an absolute true fit for me in a UK size 10, and that's in Nike shoes. So translate that over to these, you should have no issues with sizing. They've got a really nice wide toe box and wide foot entry. My feet are slightly wider than average, so the toe box for these is absolutely fine for that. But overall, a massive disappointment. You could see from the step test, I was putting a lot of pressure on these and I got absolutely nothing back. No flexibility at all. Just generally one of the most uncomfortable pair of shoes underfoot I've had on in a very long time. Now I want to move on to their weight, where I want to pop them on the scales. And this is where the problems persist for the NEOCURVEs. The fact that each shoe, I'm happy to hold these in two hands right now because my left hand is hurting a little bit from just having to hold this almost 500-gram shoe. That means that it's almost a kilogram you're wearing on your feet if you've got both of these on. It's just too heavy. I consider any shoe over the 400-gram mark to be heavyweight. Anything around 350 grams and below can be considered lightweight. Anything below 300 grams is incredibly lightweight. So coming in at 495, it's going to be one of the heaviest shoes I've ever worn on the channel and just in general. It adds to the discomfort, and like I was saying, the noise you get from these when they slap down on the floor, because they don't flex or roll with your feet, they just kind of hit the floor, doof, doof, doof. That weight just adds to the discomfort for me, and generally they're just too heavy. Now I want to move on to the breathability, where I'm going to pump this recycled upper full of smoke to see how breathable it is. You can see from the smoke test that the smoke only escaped from the areas where the tongue meets the rest of the shoe's upper with the laces here. So the only place the smoke could escape from were those small pockets where the tongue hasn't quite met the rest of the upper. So that means that the rest of the upper of this shoe, with this heavy, dense, kind of scratchy textile material that you've got underneath this synthetic layers, is offering you pretty much zero breathability. Now, they're not going to offer you any waterproof abilities, so there's no trade-off with the fact that they're not breathable. They're just going to be quite a hot and sweaty shoe. And interestingly enough, inside the box, ASICS have included a little card that says that the color and the shape and the kind of shoe's orientation may change if they do get wet, because it's made up from recycled materials. So just bear that in mind if you are going to wear these in wet conditions. The colors or the fabric quality may change. That's going to move me on to their price. Now, this is eye-watering, £245 per pair, which just means they are not accessible at all. I really want to celebrate the fact that these are fully recycled from dead stock and from faulty shoes, but I can't because of the price tag of £245. Who is going to be paying that for this shoe? Not many people. If ASICS want to make a statement, make it a non-profit shoe. Make it a shoe you can buy at cost, get the idea out there, but instead £245 is absolutely criminal when it comes to the amount I want to pay for a pair of shoes. And that's going to bring me on to my overall score for these, and I really can't give them any more than 1 star, and that is purely because they're way too heavy, they're way too expensive, the comfort is absolutely non-existent. They're not breathable at all. The only thing that holds them up is the fact that I like the way that they look, and I'm a massive fan of the idea behind the shoe. The concept is excellent, but their execution has just been poor. So I can only give them 1 star. Now, if you've liked what we've seen today, please do not forget to give the video a thumbs up right before you leave. Drop any comments below if you agree or disagree with this poor rating for these. And you can also follow me on Instagram for anything else. And hopefully I'll see you again soon. Bye.